In case of emergency, this podcast can be used as a notation device. It also contains immature language and should not be listened to by children, the credulous, or anyone with less than 2 brain cells to rub together. You have been warned.
How he was over, I don't know how many Satanists, call them churches. He was like the bishop.
You gotta be kidding me.
What was in her heart, you don't know what sin she'd committed, you don't know how much unbelief was there, you don't know whether she hated her husband.
I don't think so.
Why would anybody spend so much time ranting and raving about something that they don't believe in?
Really?
Welcome to Skeptics Brew Pub with Brother Brewer.
And welcome to episode 51 of Skeptics Brew Pub. I am your host, Brother Brewer, and tonight I'm going to be doing something a little bit different before we get to the interview. I think I announced on the Facebook pages that I was going to be changing up the format just a little bit, and tonight what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a really quick beer review and a really quick book review because, I'll go into that in a little bit, the backstory on that, and we'll take it from there. So tonight, I am looking at something called... I think that's a clean glass. No. Yep. This is called the Rockdale Classic from Rockdale Brewing Company, which is, bottled in La Crosse, Wisconsin. It's 5.0 alcohol by volume. Best used, date on the bottom of the can, January 16th of 2018. For anyone that's interested, this style is not really a homebrew style. It's what's called an American adjunct lager, which basically means that I just went ahead and opened the can there. It's basically along the lines of these Budweisers, Millers, Busch, and all that good shit. The reason that I'm trying it is because my wife, I got permission from my wife to buy it. It was relatively cheap. Matter of fact, you can pick this up at Walmart for $4.86, I think, for a 6-pack, and it's 16-ounce cans. They also come in a larger 32-ounce can, single serving, which runs at Walmart, I think, for about $1.28 or something like that. I know you can't hear this, but I'm going ahead and doing the slow pour on it. Why I'm taking the time to do this, I really couldn't tell you, other than, it's something to do. The beer itself, just like most of the style, is clear. It's also very highly carbonated. I'm drinking this cold because with these kind of beers, they're less excited about taste and more excited about just mass producing, which I have to hand it to the professional brewers that do this, because while most of us try for, a good tasting beer and whatnot, the hardest thing to do in brewing is get consistency, because you're dealing with yeast, which is a live product. And so... to actually be able to consistently put out something that might even be shit, to be able to consistently keep the same flavor, that's something to take your hat off to. Beer Advocate gives this a rating of 78, which means they call it an okay beer. It's had ratings everywhere. Individual people have rated anywhere from 2.73 to 1. I think the lowest rating it got was a 1.25. But overall, like I said, it's not a horrible beer. It tastes along the ways of the old Miller Genuine Draft style beer, which was a decent beer, and it is a decent beer for what it is. If you're looking for something that's got a little bit more flavor than a Budweiser, which is kind of like having sex in a canoe, then this would definitely be a good one for kind of a filler if you can't quite, or if you're between paydays or whatever and you can't quite afford the good craft stuff, or you're between batches and haven't brewed yourself a new batch yet. So I do recommend it, and I also recommend it, something to drink with friends that you don't want to spend a whole lot of money on it, like for a Super Bowl party or something. It is, like I said, it is cheap. So you get a good bang for your buck with a 5.0% alcohol volume. It's a good session beer. Yeah, it's not bad overall. I've been drinking this and the light version, which tastes a lot like Coors Light. It does have a little bit more flavor than Coors Light. You can definitely taste the corn in it. It does have that. It does have a sudsy mouthfeel to it. Sorry, excuse me. It does have that good carbonated mouthfeel to it, and you can taste the corn, which I think is the adjunct that they use. And for those playing the home game, an adjunct is something that you would add along with the barley, which may not necessarily impart flavor, but it will help to up the alcohol volume. It's kind of like a filler. And more often than not, they'll either use rice or corn as an adjunct to do this. Some breweries, like if you're drinking something like an oatmeal stout, the oatmeal that they put in there, the flaked oats, that's the adjunct that they would use in something like an oatmeal stout. But this one, you could definitely... I'm sorry, it's late tonight, and I know I'm supposed to get this thing out. But it's definitely a decent beer, like I said. You know, I have to give it, if I'm rating it on a 6-pack, I would probably give it 3.5 beers out of a 6-pack. The 6-pack being, of course, a perfect beer, and I don't think very few beers have hit that. But, and definitely, you know, if you've got nothing else to do, you go ahead and pick this up as like I said, as a decent, it's a session beer, and it's something you drink with friends when you don't really want to spend a whole lot of money, but you want something a little bit more flavorful than the Budweisers and whatnot. So with that said, cheers. All right. Excuse me. Now for the second part of our show, the second part of this, like I said, I was going to do a book review. And tonight's book, let me just go ahead and I'm going to bring up some info on it. And I'm going to put a link to the book. It technically does not get released until June 24th, but I happen to know the author. And so I was able to talk to her and her husband. And I was able to get a advanced reader copy of the book. And the book, of course, is by Dana Fredsty. She also has written a few other books. My favorite series right now of hers is the Ashley Parker series, which includes Plague Town, Plague Nation, and Plague World. It's a zombie apocalypse kind of book with a female protagonist, and it's actually very good. I'd recommend you pick that series up. It was what I cut my teeth on with this author and with Dana, and she's got a lot of talent, I think, in writing, and I really loved the Ashley Parker series. So now she started a new series that's called, the first book of that is of course called The Spawn of Lilith, and it's a pretty cool little book. It takes place in Hollywood, and the author Dana gets to use a lot of her knowledge. Having been having starred in a few B movies and also having done fight scenes and stuff, she gets to use her Hollywood knowledge in this book because it's set, of course, in Hollywood. The main character, Lee Strega, is a stunt woman, and I'll give you the publisher's blurb in the overview. It says, "Out of the spotlight and into the darker corners of the studio backlots, Hollywood hides remarkable secrets. Actors and actresses, set designers, electricians, best boy or grip, in La La Land, it pays not to be human. Vampires, succubi, trolls, elementals, goblins, studios hire anyone and anything that can take direction, be discreet, and not eat the extras. The less you know about your agent, the better. Though only human, stunt woman and struggling actress Lee Strega is a member of the legendary Cats stunt crew. They're the best in the biz, in part because they can do it and boast superhuman strength. They can fly and boast superhuman strength. I'll eventually learn how to talk. When Lee lands a job in the movie Pale Dreamer, however, not everyone is following the script, and it's up to her to figure out who or what is killing the cast and crew, especially when Lee goes from stunt woman to lead role and the next target. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, so my review of the book. I sat down and read it, and it was a really good read. It took me, considering I worked, it took me about 2 days to get through it. That was probably sitting about 4 hours at a piece reading it, so it's not a difficult read. It is a page turner, and one thing Dana is really good at is writing dialogue and helping you get to know your characters. And she does really good with that. And once the action picks up in the book, it really picks up. I mean, it's just balls to the wall. A lot with her Ashley Parker series. The one thing that detracted me from it, and it's not necessarily a complaint against her writing style, because she does a really good job of fleshing out the characters and helping you to really get to know Lee in the book. But personally, when I compare it to Plague Town, which was the first book in the Ashley Parker series, it seems like it takes her a little bit longer to get the ball rolling. She spends a lot of time developing who Lee is, kind of throws hints here and there about it so that you're not surprised about the ending, or not overly surprised about the ending. But you do have some action scenes in between that kind of boost things up a little bit. But to get to the main plot, for me, it kind of drug just a little bit doing that. I did enjoy learning about the character, but when I compare it with, of course, with her first series, it was just a little bit slower in that area. But honestly, that's my only complaint. She does a really good job with her dialogue. The dialogue in the book is great. The overall feel of the book is good. You really start to care about Lee. You want to follow her through this, even in the parts where it seems like the plot kind of comes down a little bit. So overall, on this book, Spawn of Lilith by Dana Fredsty, I have to say that I'm definitely going to give it 5 beers out of a 6-pack again. It was very well written. I can't give it a perfect rating because I don't think I have read the perfect book yet. But 5 out of 6, I think that's pretty good. And hopefully, Dana, if you are listening to this, I really hope you don't hate me for the parts where my criticisms of the book, because I really did love the book, and I do recommend it for anybody who really likes this kind of fiction, the kind of horror, dark fantasy genre in modern times. And so when it comes out on the 27th, go ahead and pick it up. You can, it'll be available at Amazon and at Barnes & Noble, and anywhere else that you pick up books. Pick it up, read it. It's a very good read, and I really cannot wait for the next book to come out. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and go from that over to our interview with Kate Johnson. She's the person heading up the festivities for our upcoming NWA Pride Parade coming from the Northwest Arkansas Center for Equality. This year it's going to again happen in Fayetteville. I think this is the 11th Pride Parade, or Pride Week, Pride Festival, and Pride Parade coming up. It's going to be, the first event starts on June 16th, and it's going to run through the 25th.
I have family that's very fundamentalist Christian, and I haven't told most of them because I don't want to get rid of them from my life, but they may get rid of them from me. I would love, if there was a God, for him to show himself and to accept it. But for now, there's a community of people who have been harmed from it, and we're creating a community of our own, and we're there for each other. Like, that's the reason we're here together. It's not because we hate anything. It's not that we're here to make a podcast about how much we hate God. It's about, we don't accept this thing that somebody else says, and we may be in problems because of that societally. So we're just going to make our own friend circles.
I'm Daniel Radcliffe, and I believe that reaching out for help is the bravest thing a person can do. If you are struggling and need support, call the Trevor Lifeline at 1-866-488-7386. It's free and confidential, and trained counsellors are there to listen 24/7 without judgment. To learn more about the Trevor Project's life-saving work for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or questioning young people, go to thetrevorproject.org.
And welcome to episode 51 of Skeptics Brew Pub. I'm Brother Brewer, and tonight I am joined by Kate Johnson from the NWA Center for Equality, and we're going to be talking tonight about Pride Week. How you doing tonight, Kate?
I'm great, thanks.
Well, I wanted to first of all thank you for agreeing to come on tonight. I know we've had some issues, mostly my fault, because it was a heck of a week. Because my son went to Oklahoma for camp for a week, and then it was trying to get him back and everything afterwards. So
I love how those kids monopolize our time.
yeah, it's definitely fun. And if you know anybody that's looking for a good summer camp that's not religious in any way and that is totally accepting of just about anybody, I do recommend Camp Quest over in Oklahoma, because they're a secular summer camp, and they're LGBT friendly. They're autistic spectrum friendly, just whatever, and it actually is a really good experience for a lot of kids.
Oh, that's exciting. Yeah, that definitely sounds like, I know lots of people that would be interested in that.
Okay, cool. I can probably hook you up with some information after the show here. Looks like my levels are going up a little bit. There we go. Are you still hearing me okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I wanted to talk to you about Pride Week coming up for Northwest Arkansas. When exactly is that happening?
Well, it begins on June 16th and then goes all the way through June 25th. So it kind of encompasses a little more than a week, but we're going to kind of absorb both weekends.
Okay, cool. And I was looking at the schedule of events here. It looks like you've got a diva show. What exactly is that on Friday, the 16th?
We do. And Friday is featuring is the drag diva show at C4 featuring Jujubee from RuPaul's Drag Race. So it's kind of a big name coming into town.
Okay, cool. Now, how long has Pride Week been going on here in Northwest Arkansas?
This will be our 11th year, and so I think it's 11th, but it's been going on since 2006.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, and I know last year it was headed up by Susan, or at least she was still the head of the center. Is she still the executive director there, or has she moved on?
No, she's moved on, and then we've also had a big change in the board, and so the center brought me in to kind of run Pride and everything associated with it this week, and so it's a great challenge that I welcome. Okay.
Let's see. And I know going on here, you said also that there's it kind of almost ends up with the parade, of course, on the 24th. Can you tell me a little bit about that parade coming up too?
Yes, the parade is our biggest event that we have. Of course, last year there were probably about close to 7,000 people there, and we expect an even larger crowd this year, probably anywhere between 8,500 and 9,000. So it's a pretty big deal. It's Arkansas's largest Pride festival, and of course Fayetteville is very accommodating.
Oh yeah, it definitely is. I know Mayor Lionel Jordan's been doing quite a few things with Fayetteville as far as like LGBT equality and such.
And the week that we hold our Pride Week, we're on the third week, and some of the big Pride festivals across the nation are held on the second and fourth weeks. So we end up getting a lot of tourism that comes out of that third week because people are ready to party, and so they come here, and it's kind of where the East meets the West and the North meets the South.
Oh, cool. Now, I'm also looking at the schedule. It looks like there's family. You've got a family night. There's a happy hour going on. Pub crawl. So, what kind of other events are people going to kind of look forward to for the week?
The greatest thing about this year's Pride Week or Pride celebration is that we have something for every single group. Of course, it starts off with the drag show, and then on Sunday, which is actually Father's Day, there's a volleyball field day in Bentonville. And then Monday is Trans Pride Night at C4. And then there's a family night. And then it kind of moves on into the happy hour and the Diva Drag Bingo, a pub crawl. And then on Saturday, we've got things, for both. Of course, the white party is the 21 and up. But we do have the last Saturday variety show that is family friendly.
Oh, cool.
And then we all tie it together on Sunday with an interfaith potluck.
No, that sounds like fun too. I know there might be a few people that listen to the show that might be interested in that too. Let's see. Now with Pride, what exactly is? I know it's a big thing right now, but what exactly is Pride Week and Pride Month? What exactly is it celebrating?
Well, Pride Month is the 1 month a year that we celebrate. Hang on, I'm going to sneeze. Our LGBTQ and A, of course, the ally community. And it's really just a time that we can all come together and, kind of center ourselves on equality and everybody being one.
Okay. Now, for the parade itself, do you still have spots for people to get in, or is that kind of closed off now, or how is that?
We do. You can actually enter the parade. You can enter the morning of the parade, but if you're a business or those type of things, you can enter up until the Friday before, and then of course that just follows on. We also are accepting vendors for the Pride Festival and those type of things, and then of course we're always taking volunteers because it takes several hundred volunteers to pull off Pride Weekend Fayetteville in Northwest Arkansas, so it's kind of a big deal.
Okay, well, if someone wanted to volunteer, how would they go about doing that?
You can go to the Center for Quality's website, or you can go straight to NWAPride.org and scroll down, and there's a volunteer registration, and you just kind of pop in there. You can tell us what you want to do, or you can leave it up to the gods.
Okay. Now, I know in previous years it's got the parade has gone through Dixon Street or down Dixon. What's the parade path usually? Where does it start? Where does it end up?
Of course, Dixon Street is our pride and joy. It's going to start about on the Block Street corner or the East Street corner of Dixon, right in front of the Methodist Church, and then we'll follow all the way down to West Street, which is in front of the Walnut Center with its new brilliant facade, and then turn on west there, and then everybody will circle back to the Fayetteville Town Center where our festival will be held.
Okay, cool. I know that I'm definitely planning on being there. If I can't find a group to kind of latch onto, I'll probably at least be out in the crowd cheering you guys on.
Well, you're welcome to walk. We can hook you up with anything. We do have the big pride flag that stretches the width of Dixon, and it takes about 30 people to carry that. So, we all need the Pride Flag Brigade to come through.
Well, I'll see if we can't scare some people up for you.
Easier this year that it won't be all wet. Yeah, I know that flag got pretty heavy last year when it was soaking wet.
Yeah, well, it's kind of better than the year before when I marched in it, and it was like 180 degrees outside. It was like extremely hot.
It's always fun.
But yeah, it was a good time. And of course, I think the year before last, my brother-in-law and I went down to see what the festivities were going on down by, the Wilson Park area down there?
Yes, when it was we've actually moved the festival every year, and so we haven't really settled on a spot yet. It's of course last year it was at the Old Main Lawn, and the year before it was at Wilson Park, and so this year we're on the square.
Oh, cool!
Which will be backing up to the farmers market, which will start the festival starts at basically anywhere between 12 and 1. And then, of course, the farmers market goes till 2. So you can kind of get all the greatest that Fayetteville has to offer.
All there in one spot. Sounds like
right there in one spot.
Sounds like a lot of fun. So we've got that part. Now, as far as other things that go on, what else does the Equality Center have going on this year?
Well, we do, as usual, we offer free HIV testing for anyone and everyone. We will be offering that testing at the festival. Of course, that's one of our NWA Hope initiatives that we do. And, of course, there's peer groups and those type of things, and we have lots of resources for the community.
Awesome. Now, along with that, do you guys still also offer support groups for people that, I know that at least a couple of years ago, you guys had a trans support group and a few other
we do. There are support groups for trans male. There are support groups for trans female. There's a faith support group, a recovery support group. So we kind of have, all the coverage that you might need, the big. And we will be adding more programs throughout the year.
Okay, cool. Now, as far as also with Pride, do you guys have any really big plans coming up for this, aside from the parade and festival? Is there any...
that Saturday is jam-packed. From when the parade, kind of starts, actually at about 9 in the morning, there will be what is called the Arkansas Pride Ride. And, the Arkansas Missouri Railroad is actually doing shuttle rides from Baum Stadium to Dixon Street on the train to come up for the show.
Oh, wow.
For the parade and festival. And then at 3:45, they will be having the Pride Ride train, which will have a drag show on it. So those tickets are $25. They're available at amrailroad.com. Of course, that sandwiches the parade and the festival. In addition to that, we partnered up with the Last Saturday variety show for a Pride version. And so that will be your family-friendly event that starts at 7 p.m. And then after that, at 9 p.m. will be the white party. So,
Now,
really, you can pack your Saturday from dawn until beyond dusk.
Yeah, it looks like it. Now, what exactly? I've had friends that have posted on Facebook from previous white parties. What exactly is that?
Well, a white party is actually where just everyone wears white. And, there's been white parties, from the, beginning of time. There's a lot of different organizations that kind of wrap into it. But, the community, the LGBTQ community is really, the ones that kind of started that. And so you get into, kind of a neat place, and then everyone in the whole entire place is wearing white. And it's just kind of neat, especially after you've seen so many rainbows all day.
Yeah, hopefully we're going to turn Fayetteville multicolored this year.
Absolutely.
Now, I know in the past also there has been, I don't know if he was there last year, but a couple of years ago there was one of the street preachers sitting there. Do you guys still have him show up?
I'm not sure. I can't remember if he was there last year or not. I conduct the band, so, it's kind of odd, and, my back's to the parade most of the time, and so I'm looking at the musicians, but we have a great group there, and so I don't mind looking at them. They work really hard.
Yeah,
and,
I know I've seen him.
But, of course, we've...
Now, there's a band?
A small percentage of dissenters in Fayetteville. We just ought to be glad.
There's a band, too?
Yes, we actually have. It's a community band. Of course, we don't march because a lot of us are 40 and slow and fat, and so, but we'll be set up in the front of the Walton Arts Center plaza on the Tyson Plaza, and it'll be about we have over 30 musicians. Wow. All tubas, clarinets, trumpets, trombones. The old school band stuff, and we're playing great tunes like YMCA and Dude Looks Like a Lady, and we're gonna tie it up with the Washington Post March in honor of fake news.
Oh, that sounds like a blast too. Yeah, I was going to say with the street preacher that I'd seen there before, he just looked like he needed a big hug because he just looked so angry.
I know, it's hard to be that way,
Oh, so, but honestly though, I know that a lot of this for Pride, that a lot of it comes from historically the Stonewall riots from back in '69. Mm-hmm. How far has how far has the LGBT community come in the last few years? I mean, I know we've seen marriage equality come through finally, thank goodness. I've finally been able to do a couple of weddings that way.
Yes.
But at least I know a lot of people seem to think that when marriage equality came out, pretty much you'd arrived and that was it. So. How much further still do you think that the LGBT community needs to come to reach full equality?
Well, when any marginalized group gets civil rights, God forbid, the road has only begun. And so that's kind of it's really that changing that public persona, getting, people to shed their judgments wherever they came from. One of the neatest thing about being, tied into this community is just there's so much love. And it's really an opportunity for us to share that. Of course, we luckily live in a space where, being in Arkansas, we're kind of, in the crown jewel here as far as equality. One of the things that I've noticed a whole lot is the differences between the generations. Now we've got a whole generation of millennials that they're growing up without a whole lot of oppression. And it's great.
Yeah, I think when I see the I know a lot of people like to get down on the millennials, but I see a lot of potential, in the future because there's a lot less prejudice going on with them than there was even with my generation, Gen X.
Yes, me too. That's the way I see it. I thought I was cutting edge, and what, as a Gen Xer, we were so special. But, it's really been neat. Of course, that brings its own set of circumstances where, as usual, a younger person may or may not, understand the breadth of the history, which is always a situation in any group. And that I think that's kind of fascinating. And so Pride is a time where everyone comes together, regardless of whether you come out during the year or celebrate during the year or do anything, but it's really a time that you can tie into that and kind of see. And it's a good parameter of how things have changed.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I know that also, for me, it's been mostly for a long time. It was just a lot of my friends that were either gay or whatever, and a few trans. But then some of my family members I found out were also in the community, and I didn't know it. So it's actually become a lot more important to me to help see the equality come through, because it actually means something to me. It's not just it's not just kind of an abstract thing out in the distance. It really hits home when it's someone or someone that you care about.
I have a few friends that, some that were from Fayetteville that, are just so glad that they could come out when they were young, and it was the 70s, and Fayetteville was a place that even would acknowledge that and accept that. And now it's just interesting, I'll see some people that, are saying, now be sure to tell them it's the gay pride parade. Because, some people have spent their lives, worrying about getting fired from their jobs, or worried about, keeping secrets and telling things just for fear of repercussions. We've got a lot of repercussions going on in the world, but if we really think and celebrate about, how far we come, this is it.
Yeah, and it really has come a long way, and I think for me it's been really exciting to watch it and to be a part of it. We had the Oberfeld decision that came down a couple of years ago, which was a real benchmark. That was something that was just, out of the...
it's in the law school textbooks now. Yeah. That's big stuff.
Yeah, they've pretty much figured, I think even the conservatives and evangelicals have figured out that ship has sailed. Well, except for a couple of holdouts, like I don't know, maybe Senator Jason Raper, are still a couple of holdouts. But for the most part, they've moved on from the marriage equality struggle, and I think that's part of the reason that they've been hitting so hard on the trans community now, is because they know that they've lost one fight, so they're going to try to come at it from another angle.
That definitely seems to be the theme. That is a solid assessment.
Yeah. What other things are going on as far as for like trans pride and gay pride and everything else? I know you said that we've got the bingo. I think you said pub crawl. When is that happening?
Well, the pub crawl is going to be Friday. That's at 6 p.m. on Dixon Street. Of course, there's the after party with the drag show at C4. It will start at Maxine's on Block and go down to Dixon. There's bars at each one. There's going to be a kind of a challenge, the pub crawl challenge. The winner of the challenge will be crowned queen of the pub crawl, and I may or may not have them a crown.
Okay. Well, what exactly is the challenge?
It's different things. It might be, go up and hug somebody you don't know or something like that. It's just kind of as you go. Of course, there's always beads involved in that, so you can check off your challenge blocks, and so there'll also be prizes. At the end, we'll have, we have lots of prizes to give away for that drag show and the pub crawl. But the neatest thing is that the pub crawl is actually for $15. You're actually going to get a free T-shirt.
Oh wow!
It's real worth the price. So we've got Josh has worked really hard on that, and we've got a lot of sponsors, and we were able to make that happen. So that's going to be kind of neat.
Now, I've never been involved as as much of a veteran drinker as I am, I've never been involved in a pub crawl. So what exactly happens there? How does that work?
Well, I was in your position, a bit ago, and I was like, because I was like the go and sit down at the bar and stay there. That worked out well for me. But usually the pub crawls, a lot of times they have some kind of challenges. The participating businesses usually have special drinks. So there may be drink specials just for your crawl. Obviously, you've got the challenge. And then when you all in together, everybody's kind of free to move on. And then you get down to the after party. And then there's prizes and kind of everybody comes together and they get to talk about their experiences there. And so it's pretty fun.
Wow. Well, it really sounds like a whole lot of fun coming up. And that's going to be, if I remember right, June 16th through the 25th?
Yes.
Okay.
So the 16th would be a Friday. That's going to be that Top Diva show. You get a day off on that Sunday or Saturday. The Sunday is going to be the volleyball. Monday would be Trans Pride. Tuesday's family night. Wednesday will be happy hour in Bentonville because, we love our Benton County. And then that's part of what makes it all Northwest Arkansas. And, of course, that family night will be out in Terra Studios, which will be really exciting. And then Thursday will be your Diva Drag Bingo hosted by the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence. And then Friday is the pub crawl and after party. Then Saturday, you're packing it full with your Pride Ride, your parade, your festival, your variety show, your white party, and then Sunday an interfaith potluck.
Okay, now I just thought about this. The Pride nights, like the Trans Pride night on the 19th, is that going to be for trans only, or are friends invited too?
No, it's anybody. They're going to be doing a lot of trivia of the history since Stonewall of trans, and so there'll be a.
And that's going to wrap it up for episode 51 of Skeptics Brew Pub. I want to, again, thank Kate Johnson for coming on and talking to me tonight about Pride. And I'm really hoping that I get to see some of you guys out there. Like I said at the beginning, I'll be more than likely in the crowd, hopefully handing out cold water to the folks that are marching because, like I said, I couldn't find a group to march with myself this time around. So, and then afterwards, of course, there's going to be a big festival, and that's going to be a big... nice little convergence conference festival kind of thing going on after the parade. So that'll be definitely fun to go to. I also want to thank, again, Dana Fresdy for giving me a advanced copy of her book, Spawn of Lilith, that's coming out again. Pick it up as soon as it comes out. It's going to be coming out here in another couple of weeks. So definitely read that book. It is very good. I cannot recommend it highly enough. And, of course, I also want to thank my patrons tonight for going ahead and continuing to help me keep the lights on. Aaron and Marissa, thank you very much for continuing to be a patron. And if you would also like to be a patron and become a member of the Irreligious Order of St. Hitchens, or the Oh Shit, go ahead and go over to patreon.com/Skeptics Brew Pub and make a per episode donation for as little as $1 an episode. You can go ahead. I will send you a certificate saying that you are a member of the order, and so you too can be a member of Oh Shit. If you can't support the show, of course, then go ahead and go to iTunes and give me a 5-star review so that I can get this show out to other people and they can hear it, and hopefully it can be a little bit of a light in their darkness, or maybe if they're on the fence, it might help them to change their mind about something that they did, or it may help them think about things differently than they did before, because those are the goals of the show. If you want to get a hold of me for fan mail, hate mail, death threats, or whatever else, you can email me at brotherbrewer@skepticsbrewpub.com. Our website is skepticsbrewpub.com, where you can find archives of the show and a few other nice little tidbits, including links to other great podcasts and resources for folks that are skeptical, atheist, LGBT, etc. If you want to follow what's going on with the show also, you can go to our Facebook page. It's facebook.com/skepticsbrewpub, or my own personal page, which is facebook.com/brotherbrewer. Go ahead and hit me up, like the page, follow the show, and hopefully we'll be back next week. to do this again, I am going to be talking with with three wonderful, excellent women to talk about trans issues, and that's going to be Marissa McCool, Callie Wright, and Carla Lewis. They're all three going to come on here in the same podcast. I do not know if I can handle all of the fabulousness that's going to be showing up next week, but I definitely will try. So, until next week, I want you guys to remember to believe nothing that you hear, half of what you see, and never have a serious conversation without a 2-drink minimum. Good night, guys.
Petition